Okay, dear students, good morning. Good morning once again, and good to see you back in today's class. And we will try to take this class with whatever student strength we have. Let the other student join later on. Okay, so have you all gone through the PPTs and gone through the SLMs, which were shared with you all, Mr. Ahir and Mr. Suresh? And have you received the assignment questions?
No, sir.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. I'll just talk with the SUE, okay, regarding this. All
Okay,
right.
okay.
Anyway, those things we'll discuss in the later part of the class. So today I'm going to check your class course name, social structure, course code, SOM 6112. Okay, basically, we have finished the two blocks already. And today I'm going to take the block 3, that is social control and social changes. Okay, so that is from unit 11 to unit 15. Okay, yes. So today's lecture will consist of unit 11 to unit 15 of block 3. Learning goals is objectives and outcomes we will discuss, and the discussion in-depth analysis of unit 11 to 15, and questions, that is check your progress. Then we will come to conclusion and the synthesis of the blocks. Okay, so before going to the block 3, let's review the previous lecture what I have taught. Okay, so last class में मैंने क्या पढ़ाया था, we will just flashback. Okay, unit 6 में हम लोग ने पढ़ाया what is village and cities. Okay, and types of village and the types of cities. Okay, and then urban rural linkage in unit 7. Then in unit 8 we studied about the minorities, Dalits, women's, right? So sociology as a subject, we always try to understand why. Yeah? So हम लोग always try to find out ये क्यों होता है, ये कैसा होता है. Okay, दूसरा मतलब दूसरा डिसिप्लिन जो होता है वो लोग they just study from the point of their own discipline, right? जैसे कि पॉल साइंस होता है, एजुकेशन होता है, और मैथमेटिक्स जो साइंस में होता है, मतलब they have their own basics. But sociology as a subject try to interrogate, हम लोग मतलब देखना चाहते हो why, because as a part of the study, as a discipline, it tries to analyze, interpret, critically analyze the society. Okay, and unit 9 we studied norms and values. Then unit 10 tribes, okay, which is also one of the units of your block number 2. So in summary, in block 2 we examine the foundational architecture of Indian society. We navigated the spatial transition from autonomous rural villages to urban centers, explores the complex rural-urban continuum, and analyzes the societal positioning and marginalized groups. Marginalized, who are the marginalized groups? As you know, they are mainly the Dalits, women, and the minorities, right? So finally, we decoded the culture, the cultural DNA, the norms, values, and indigenous tribal heritage that dictates human behavior and societal order. Okay, so this PPT will be shared with you all, so please go through this PPT, and if you have any doubts in this PPT, then you all may come with the suggestions or questions in the next class. All right, so you need breakdown of block 3. So block 3 is basically social control and social changes. Okay, 11 unit 11 is all about social control and social changes. Unit 12 is agencies of social control. Unit 13 is social mobility and development. Unit 4 is social change such as sensitization, westernizations, and secularizations. Unit 15 is modernizations. Okay, so what are the learning goals? Okay, Objectives, what we aim to explore, हम लोग क्या देखना चाहते हैं, what these blocks try to give you. Okay, so to explore the dual concepts of social change and social control, to examine the mechanisms and agencies that regulate our societal behavior, to define social mobility and identify the factors influencing it, to analyze specific socio-cultural shifts in India, such as sensitization, westernizations, and okay, secularizations. Okay, so ये ऑब्जेक्टिव्स और ये ब्लॉक्स जो पढ़ने के बाद तुम लोग को क्या आइडिया आ जाएगा, बट क्या मालूम हो जाएगा, और हाउ यू हैव टू टैकल एज एन इंडिविजुअल टू अंडरस्टैंड द सोसाइटी. ओके, so you will able to identify the key differences between formal and informal social control, analyze the type of social mobility. Mobility मतलब है क्या मालूम है, the flow of any agencies. Okay, the flow of any culture or the flow of any behavior, okay, towards downward or towards upward. Okay, so horizontal versus vertical using sociological theories. Okay, difference between distinct paradigms of cultural adaptations, evaluate the impact of modernization and secularization on contemporary societal structures. Okay, okay, so social control is basically the continuity, social change is basically the transformations. Okay, so coming to unit 11. Okay, so we come with the unit social control, social change. Social control is basically about the continuity, all right, and social change is basically about the transformations. Definition of social control: the mechanism, the strategies, and institution used to regulate behavior and ensure conformity to established norms. Okay, so social control, for example, religion. Take for example religions. Okay, religion is a part of what? Social control. So in terms of because you also have a paper religion, sociology of religion in 7114. So I will take the example of religion as institution of social control. Okay, so religion, you know, whether you go to mosque, you go to temple, you go to church. Okay, you see group of people, right? Group of people coming towards the beloved or towards their believed, towards their devotee, right? Towards devoting God. Okay, whoever God may be, but it's a kind of belief that they will find something in life or they will find something peaceful environment towards it. So that's a belief. But not only that, they also uh, come there to share their emotions, interact with the people, with a group of people, sharing their ideas, sharing their sorrows, sharing their problems. So which is a kind of a social control, right? So you know, social control, if you take before in the early periods, like the kind of suicide was very less, right? Because the suicide was very less because there was a uniformity, there was a conformity to the traditional law or traditional culture, right? But with the contemporary society, with the development of modernity, with the development of these new lifestyle institutions, right? So there is a total transformations, right? So social change, social control is something that continue, that an individual, as an individual मतलब एक इंसान is abide by to follow. Okay, like village में होता है एक चौधरी होता है, right? बा कुछ जो सेक्युलर में होता है हम लोग का एक नगर पंचायत का और एक म्युनिसिपल का एक सेक्रेटरी, मतलब एक सोशल कंट्रोल करता है. So in terms of social control, you cannot just go and harm anyone, you cannot just go and kick out anyone. Why? Because there is law and order, right? So that controls your behavior, that controls your lifestyle also, right? Okay, so functions is maintain stability, order and cohesions. Okay, सो सोशल कंट्रोल जो है ये एक सोसाइटी को, एक फैमिली को, एक इंस्टीट्यूट को एक मेंटेन स्टेबिलिटी. Okay, like for example religion, if you take from the psychological point of view, so you have to understand how if you do a crime you will go to hell, if you do good you will go to heaven, right? It's a kind of emotional control, right, that you are embedded by the existing socialization. Okay, so it happens to be that you are already taught in a society that if you do a crime you will go to hell, if you go to good then you will go to heaven, right? So ऐसा कुछ एक teaching होता है ना religion में. So there is also part of psychological control that maintains stability, order and cohesion. Okay, so example मैं example बोलता हूँ, laws and state regulations, formal and customs and informal sanctions, that is informal. जैसे कि मैंने informal बताया है hell and heaven. Okay, दो वो एक रिलीजियस मतलब एक रिलीजन से एक लर्निंग मिलता है. ओके, ये एक इनफॉर्मल होता है, बट इट हैज ऑलरेडी एम्बेडेड, इट हैज ऑलरेडी गिवन यू दैट होप दैट मैं कुछ करेगा तो है, अच्छा करूंगा तो हेवन. दैट इज इनफॉर्मल, लेकिन वो एक ट्रेडिशनल अटैचमेंट हो गया था. सो यू कैन कॉल इट एन इनफॉर्मल. ओके, सो लॉ एंड स्टेट रेगुलेशन, जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट ने जो लॉ लगाया था कि देयर आर सर्टेन लॉस, राइट? There are customary laws also, but we don't have much customary laws. We have more order from the government, right? That we have the laws and regulations which are more formal. Okay, so all these laws, okay, like domestic violence laws or child act laws, these are all laws. What, why this mad? ये जो laws है क्यों बनाया गया है? क्यों? क्योंकि to keep the individual, to keep the society and maintain stability in order and cohesion. Okay, समझ में आया मिस्टर आहिर? Okay, so coming to social change. Okay, social change, the alterations, transformation or modification in patterns, structures and dynamics of societies over time. Drivers that technological advancement, economic shift, demographic changes, theoretical views, evolution, which is more gradually, cyclical, which is more rounding from like it's more an Harvard Spencer law of evolutions, which is more cyclical in nature. Okay, so functionalist and conflict. Okay, change driven by inequality. Okay, so social change is basically a transformations. Okay, social change is something that takes place. It may take place slowly, it may take very fastly, it may take so means with the moderate way, right? So evolutions का जो हम लोग का sociology का theory होता है, जो August Comte, the father of sociology, who has termed the con sociology, was the one who was very much influenced with the evolution theory, right? So evolution का जो social change होता है वो एक slowly होता है, एक slowly होता है. एक tradition to थोड़ा सा science आ गया, science थोड़ा आने के बाद पूरा scientific method of knowledge building process that takes place, that is known as the positive stage, right? So social transformations, you know, it has taken place. You can look back how Tripura was once and how it was now, right? Tripura was once a remote and very underdeveloped states, but now with the growth of change, I was just talking about the material transformations. Okay, you know about the ideological transformations, right? So how there was very less changes, right, in terms of technology, in terms of economy, in terms of demographic. But look, with the time, place, representation, how there was a change. Like if you take from the example of the economic shift, right? So earlier the people was basically in Tripura, it was basically the zoom cultivation. The zooming है जो जमीन है वो लोग zoom cultivation करता है, right? But now you see mainly the agriculturalist production takes place in the plain areas, right? तो पहले देखो, पहले जो जूम में कल्टीवेशन होता है, तो वो एक ट्रेडिशनल वे ऑफ कल्टीवेशन, राइट? देन नाउ यू सी how there is a change of agricultural reproductions, right? So there is a shift, okay? There is a shift. It may be slow or it may be fast, okay? So if we talk of the economic shift also, similarly, in terms of Indian aspect towards Northeast also, you see how there was an advancement of economic shift. Now how there was a growth development taking place through various agencies, right? So in that way, you have to understand what is social control. There is more or less continuity. Social change is more or less transformations. Okay, so you see in the development or transformation of technologies also. Now, earlier you don't see much technological changes in India, like in terms of you see about mobile or in you see about the computer or you see about the networks. Earlier there was no such developed tools that actually transfer very fast. But now you see the contemporary society with the changes of lots of technologies. There were the artificial intelligence. There are also the technologies to reproduce any minerals as fast as possible, right? So that is technological and the economic shifts. And what about the demographic changes? So you know how India was once. India was not actually, the Pakistan was part of India. But with the time frame, because of the um, demographic demarcations, look, now there is a change. India has become another part. Pakistan has become another part. And Bangladesh also very lately become the another part of the itself autonomous country, right? So you know how demographic change also takes place because of the social change. Okay, so so theoretically in sociology, you have to understand evolution is more or less slow process. Then conflict theory is more so, right, which takes place because of the inequality driven. Okay. Number two, agencies of social control. So agencies of social control are family, education, and state. Okay. So this is very important for a broad question. I may ask you what are the agencies of social control. All right. So when I will ask you what is social control, then you will have to. It should be just in your tip of your tongue. That family, the primary agency, education, the secondary agency, and the state, which is more a macro agency, okay, which controls everything more or less, okay. So family is more or less the most fundamental units, employs informal methods, affection, reprimands, traditions to socialize individual from birth, okay. So from the very childhood onwards, from the time of the birth, uh, in terms of family, we are socialized how to eat, how to sleep, when to eat, and what to respect, and in what way to act in different spaces. So these are all the socializations that are mostly primary that takes place in the family, right? So then only it is also said that family is also the first part of education that takes place, right? So as soon as you go to the primary level educations, you are already equipped with the behavioral aspects of the, which is more of an intuition aspects of behavior. Okay, like how to act, how to stay, how to honor, how to like, yeah, mostly the habits. Okay, so in terms of education, that is also known as secondary agencies. This is the bridge the personal and public spheres formalize socialization, instills civic values, prepare individuals for societal challenges, and encourage self-regulation. So, education is the place where one comes to enlighten his thoughts, enlighten his ideas from various sources, mainly from the books, mainly from the elders who are known to be the teachers, mentors, from the principals, from their formal educations, right? So they come to know various resources from the educations, right? So when they go to educations, one individuals is always taught through books, the Constitution of India, through books, the value educations, through the books, the uh, emotional attainment, what they should do, what they should not do. Okay, so in education, which is secondary agencies, is a very important aspects of human life to prepare himself towards the macro agencies. So the state is a formal organized system of governance, possesses legitimacy, sovereignty to enforce laws using mechanisms like laws, courts, police, policies to suppress non-conformity. Okay, so state is there. So as I said that the social control, basically family education is the part of your agency which you prepare towards understanding and proving your conformity to the state. So what is state? You all know that state means in the assemble of courts, assemble of police, policies, politics, everything, right? So if you do any harm in a state or in your country, in a village, then there is state, there is macro agencies to control the societal uniformity, right? So these are very three aspects of agencies of social control. Then coming to unit 3, you understand social mobility and development. Okay. So social mobility is the movement of individuals or group within a social hierarchy, deeply intertwined and with societal development. So coming to that, vertical versus horizontal. Okay, horizontal movement within the same strata, like a teacher moving to a new school. Okay, so horizontal is more or less moving in the same strata. Okay, like example, I was saying that a teacher teaching in any schools, for example, in Ramakrishna Mission School, she got an appointment in another Sri Krishna Mission School as a teacher. Okay, so there is a kind of horizontal mobility. Okay, but when you talk of vertical mobility, that is more or less upward or the downward of the social hierarchy. Okay, we'll come to that when we discuss about the sensitization process. Okay, so what about the intergenerational development, right? So measure status changes between parents and children's. High mobility indicates accessibility, economic opportunities. Low mobilities indicates perpetuated inequalities, right? Intergenerational social mobility. So here I will just try to take the example of Ralph Linton, okay, status rule. Okay, so when you talk about the vertical mobility, like for example, when you talk about a rickshaw driver, being a rickshaw driver, educating his son or daughter, and his son and daughter is becoming an IS officer or the official holders, then it is more or less what? Vertical towards upward mobility. Okay, so it is it can be a term like intergenerational changes. And when you talk about another kinds of mobility, downward mobility, okay, like coming from a very good background, but because of the some reasons they have become poor economically, shift. So it can be said downward mobility in terms of class. Okay, so achieve and ascribe status, which Ralph Linton has discussed. Okay, can also be an important aspects of this mobility. Okay. So when you talk about the social hierarchy, we'll come to that in the next part. Okay, so I will not discuss here. So because you will be confusing. Okay, educational, geographic. Okay, educational acts as a primary vehicles to break property cycle, providing credential and skill development for higher status occupations. Okay, So as I have given already example, how a rickshaw driver's son and daughter becoming an officer, IS officer, or SDM, or like that is more or less the break property cycle, right? So being from the very low class with the course of educations, he or she has attained the higher class status, right? So that can be because of the effect of educational mobility. Okay. What about the geographic? Movement across regions includes urbanization, rural to urban for better living standards and international migrations. Okay. So migrations is a common activities which takes place in today's world, right? So migration from rural to urban or from one cities to another cities takes place because it is basically because of education, because of a job, because of the employment facility, or because of their siblings living out there. So it's a kind of geographic mobility. Okay, so movement across regions for better opportunity and standard of way of living. So now let's come to the intergenerational changes. That is Unit 14, sensitization, westernization, and secularizations. Okay, paradigm of cultural adaptations, dimensions. Okay, so sensitization is basically coined by M.N. Srinivasan. Okay, so mechanism of status, achieving higher status through imitation of higher ranking groups. Okay, so in terms of sensitizations, I will give again the examples of contemporary Tripura, where the SC, the scheduled caste, or the tribal communities adapt, or the minorities adapt the lifestyle of the higher class or higher caste. It might be Hindus, or it might be the upper caste capitalist. Okay, when they try to imitate. Okay, but Sanskrit doesn't talk about the capitalism. Okay, it talks about the caste. I mean the social mobility means those individuals like from SC community or from scheduled caste imitating the lifestyle like like Brahmin, like ritual, like belief system, imitating the lifestyle of the upper caste Hindus. Okay, which M.N. Srinivas has talked about in his studies. So sensitization is more or less uh, social mobility towards upper caste Hindus. Okay, and structural boundary mobility strictly inside the caste system. Okay, so जो ये sensitization है ये basically within the caste system होता है. Okay, dietary system मतलब like what they used to eat or what they used to have is enforced prohibitions on meat and alcohol. Like in terms of sensitizations, they try to imitate the lifestyle of the lifestyle of other um, upper caste groups. Okay, so they try to act by avoiding eating meat or having alcohol. Okay, which is regarded to be not sacred in the Brahmin society, right? So it's more or less evolving towards the purity. Okay, so that is sensitizations. But what about the westernizations, right? So westernizations, right? So it's more about a term from Western, right? Western. So we always say that if someone wear like a more stylish, hi-fi with spare jeans, nice tie, nice coat, then we say, "Hi, this guy is becoming very Western." Why? Because we are referring this to the Western ideas, Western knowledge. Okay, so in terms of westernization, it's more or less based on secular perspective. Okay, so here people are more free to engage in certain works, right? Achieving higher status through process, adopting Western ideas or texts. As I have said, westernization is basically adopting the Western ideas, Western technologies, Western way of lifestyle. Okay, so it is westernization doesn't take place only in caste system mobility outside the caste system, okay, often allows on encourage meat alcohol consumptions, okay. That secularizations, so lastly, secularization is the diminishing influence of religion in public life involves the separations of religious institutions from the state functions, shifting towards secular forms of government. This is secularization is more or less about the state regulation, about the norms, about the laws, about the formal legal practices that has been regulated by the state. Okay, so there are certain constitutional rights, there are certain regulations that an individual needs to follow, right? So what is India? India is said to be a secular state, right? Now coming to modernizations. Modernization is the process of adopting modern technologies, institutions, and values highly associated with westernization. It represents a broader structural evolutions of society. Okay, so societal structure, economic systems, cultural practices. Okay, so if you talk about the societal structures, it is shift from traditional kin-based organization to complex, specialized, and bureaucratic institutions. Modernization. Okay, so economic system, the crucial transitions from agrarian subsistence to industrialized market-driven economies. Cultural practices like evolution of forms to accommodate scientific rationality, rapid urbanizations, and unprecedented global connectivity. Okay, this is what the modern modernizations talks about. Okay, so just try to go through all these slides. So we will discuss anyway in after this lecture if you have any queries. Okay, so these are the major questions. Check your progress. Okay, what do you understand by the concept of social control, and what are its primary formal and informal agencies? Explain what sensitization means in the context of sociology and how it structurally differs from westernization. What does social mobility refers to, and what is the exact difference between intergenerational and intra-generational mobility? Conclusions. Today we examine the delications balance between societal control, the force maintaining order, and social change, the force driving evolutions. We identify the pivotal agencies like family, education, and state that regulate behavior. We then map how individuals navigate this structure through social mobility and decode the specific cultural mechanisms like Sanskritization, westernization, secularization, and modernization that continually reshape the tapestry of Indian society. So in the next lecture, we will discussing about the urbanization and marginalized communities. Okay? Focus area will be urbanizations and industrializations. So that's it for today's lecture. So if you have any query, Mr. Ahir, you may ask. Okay? Or else you can attend, you will be attending, I think, the next class with your Dr. Sir or Marcolisa.
सर सर
Yes.
वो क्या हम लोगों का जो असाइनमेंट होगा वो क्या क्वेश्चन होगा?
कौन सा?
हम लोगों का असाइनमेंट देना होगा जो वो क्वेश्चन आंसर होगा क्या? क्वेश्चन आप लोग दे दोगे, हम लोग आंसर लिखना होगा, ऐसा क्या होगा ना? टॉपिक वाइज होगा
असाइनमेंट हम लोग के तरफ से 5 क्वेश्चन सेंड करेगा. हाँ, आउट ऑफ 5
हाँ हाँ
3 लिखना पड़ेगा. ओके, 10 मार्क्स का. 10 10 10 कितना हुआ? 10 10 10 30 मार्क्स का. ओके,
हाँ
30
वन
मार्क्स.
सब्जेक्ट वन. हाँ हाँ
1
ओके सर.
क्वेश्चन 10 मार्क्स.
हाँ
एंड वो भी तुम्हारा वो SLM से ही आएगा, और बेसिकली from the PPTs or from your self-learning material. Okay.
ओके ओके ओके.
So
थैंक यू सर.
have you received your assignment?
नहीं सर.
ठीक है, मैं बात करूंगा. ओके, वो कंट्रोलर ऑफ
हाँ
एग्जामिनेशन के साथ मैं बोल दूंगा
ओके.
जल्दी से सेंड करने के लिए. ओके,
हाँ 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 हाँ
क्योंकि
थैंक यू.
तुम लोग का
ओके
एग्जाम. हाँ बोलिए.
ओके ओके ईमेल में आएगा ना क्या व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में?
ईमेल में. ओके.
ओके ओके ओके
Okay.
ठीक
Thank
है सर
you. Bye bye. Take care.
वेलकम सर
Yeah, Ahir, Mr. Ahir.
ओके
Take care.
ओके ओके